Oh boy, it's here! Finally entering...
8 years later.
Speaking of this intro, we actually have like real story going on in a Mega Man game for basically the first time since 8.
So are we looking at 19XX with this flashback?
Based on their ages, maybe 18XDX.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. That stubble on Light is
that's like 200 years old, dude.
Speaking of plot relevance, basically, Light here says, "No, Wily, your research is stupid. I should start doing robots with independent thought." Does anyone else think that Wily's totally in the right on this one? Because their entire sorry, go on.
I think the only wrong here is that they didn't give Wily a chance, because the risks are obvious, but that's why you do research and checks and balances and tests to ensure its safety, and then after rigorous testing, you can confirm, no, we can't do this. Just scrap it, maybe work on something else, maybe work on a weaker version of it, but they just straight out say fucking no.
I'm
It
sorry.
seems like they're just being really utilitarian about the idea of all these robots breaking, as opposed to the ethical questions of whether or not you should give robots independent thought.
Exactly. Light's entire argument.
I'm sorry. Okay, we're all having a serious philosophical discussion about Wily's, past attempts to be the voice of reason, ? And all I can think of is he's got skull pajamas and a skull bag.
Yeah, but would he be wearing that skull pajamas if he wasn't wronged before?
Yeah,
The man has an aesthetic, okay?
but yeah, the entire argument Light has against Wily is, but that could be dangerous. Even though his entire argument is, we should build robots with free will, ignoring every science fiction work ever that says, hey, this could potentially be bad. And lo and behold, once he achieves that, it does!
Dr. Light would rock the Skynet did nothing wrong hashtag and have no regrets. Yeah, but this is like the first game where I really kind of feel bad for Wily, given, he really thought he had something going here to enhance the capabilities of robots, and because he, to quote him specifically, they could make heroes like that people will look up to, and then they just straight up say, well, no, because it's too dangerous, so now let's make independent robots with free will. And
let them give them the choice to say, hey, humans kind of suck, we should kill them all.
Yeah.
Good job, Dr. Light.
It's interesting, though, I'd appreciate it. I know I never expect a deep story with classic Mega Man, but, as these games continue on, again, this is the 11th game in the classic series.
12th if we're including N-Base.
Yeah, I don't. As the 11th game in the series.
Okay.
I like how they add layers to it.
Instantly a point over Mighty Number 9. This is, marginally more expressive than that game.
Which is
you couldn't get less expensive.
It's weird though, because Mighty Number 9 tried to have camera angles, and this doesn't, but it still looks way better, which is weird.
Well, it's because the distant fixed camera sort of disguises the budget nature of the animations here.
Yeah, if we're breaking it down structurally, it's no less complicated, no more complicated than an 8-bit, cutscene from the NES days.
Yeah,
now it's all 2.5D models.
Yeah, I was gonna say Klonoa had more interesting camera angles and dynamic shots.
Also, I just noticed that microwave has a drumstick.
Just now?
Yeah, I just noticed it. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at the drumstick. I'm looking at the UFO.
That was the first thing I noticed when, in the middle of the game, after you've beaten 4 Robot Masters, Light and Mega Man are having this serious conversation. Then I'm looking why is there a drumstick and a microwave up there?
I was more fixated on the broom Mega Man was holding, because, like I said, I thought it was a random leg. I was like, wait, what were you doing back there?
Broom.
Yeah, it's a broom.
Carpet cleaner on a stick, maybe.
I mistook it for a plunger, so...
I mean, plunger, broom, not that much different in terms of context.
Plunger is what I thought at first. It reminded me of that Donald Duck game.
Also, Dr. Wily, why didn't you kidnap Mega Man?
Quackshot? Yeah.
Quackshot.
I think that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the game where he plays Indiana Jones and he flies over the whole world and uses
I
a
used to have that
gun.
as a kid. That was great.
Yeah.
I have to ask, out of all the Robot Masters, why did Blockman get such a push amongst all of them?
It might have just been one they finished first, honestly.
Maybe they were trying to balance the karma of Splash Woman.
The karma of Splash Woman.
Yeah.
Wait, Mega Man.
Also, is Mega Man's hair brown or black?
It's black.
It is. It's robots. He can change it on a whim.
Yeah, he's going through his dye phase.
Okay, in Powered Up, he had brown hair. In Mega Man 4, he had blue hair.
Yeah, in the comics, he has brown hair.
Can't just let him get away.
I like how Light here is like, well, you can't. He has a double gear system. You can't beat him except you can actually totally play this game entirely without ever using the double gear system.
Isn't that?
Yeah, suck it,
that's
Light.
one thing I actually heard from a couple of reviews. So I should mention that I haven't played this game myself. I've heard that a lot of people don't really find the double gear system to be that useful, or at the very least, it's easy enough to play it without using it if you don't want to.
I'll put it this way: the speed gear is infinitely more useful than the power gear. The power gear, at best, basically gives you a double charge shot once you charge up.
No. I'm sorry.
I'm the opposite. The power gear
That
is
will
completely
be my
worthless.
first disagree, dude. Then you have not used them with special weapons, because that's the way you get the most use out of them.
Absolutely.
Some of the weapons are really much better, like the ball one. The ball one just shoots more balls. Okay.
Yeah, and those balls move really fast, and in closed corridors, it wrecks everything up.
Yeah, and I could do that with the regular ones too.
With Tundra Man,
that
you get
makes
a
it sound-
screen nuke that just kills
Yeah,
every
the
enemy on the
Tundra Man
screen.
and Blast Man are the only ones I get use out of for the power gear.
That makes it sound like that makes it sound like the bouncer from Ratchet and Clank, which is the most overpowered thing in existence. It just fills the room with bouncing balls and everything dies.
Yeah,
You get
usually
the
that
screen-
kind of
you got
stuff
the
is
screen
really
nuke with
helpful.
Tundra Man. You got the souped up acid shield.
Oh, yeah.
The only two I don't really find use out of, honestly, is Fuse Man and Block Man's, because they don't do much different than what I can do
Really?
with the other
Most
weapons.
of them don't
Yeah.
do much different than what they normally do.
Nah, disagree, dude.
So
I got a lot of use out of the power gear with this. With the special weapons specifically, because for the normal Buster, I agree, not that useful, and I don't like the recoil from the charge. Like, and I do believe there is a upgrade you can get to mitigate it. That
Yeah.
specifically, but still, just even as a weapon, it doesn't compare to just using it with special weapons. That, I think, is the true power of the power gear. Although I will agree that speed gear is just infinitely more usable in terms of, utility and just maneuverability.
I can
As it
either-
should be. That's its intention.
Yeah, but rather than getting one good shot in, I can get with the speeder, I can get like 5 or 6 regular shots in.
Yeah, with the power gear, they also limit the fire rate of the Mega Buster if you're not charging it up. Like if you're just shooting pellets, they only give you 2 shots instead of 3 with power gear, and it doesn't really feel like you're doing that much damage if you're just mashing the buttons. So yeah,
Yeah.
I use it for
When-
powers. I don't use it for the Buster.
Exactly. That's where I put my stamp with it. As a default weapon, it blows. Like it just doesn't compare to speed gear. But for special weapons, it's wonderful.
And for only certain weapons for me.
You should be using the speed gear right now.
These guys don't do enough damage for me to worry too much.
All right, but this game is 8 years after Mega Man 10. A part of me believes that Mighty Number 9 had something to do with it, but
it definitely did.
Mighty Number. I like to believe it's part of that, but they say that the major reason is because Legacy Collection did really well.
And Mighty Number 9
consoles.
with a complete sour taste in their mouth, so they figured, okay, we can do something with this now.
yeah,
I'm sure they're tired of fans always going up to them and saying, Mega Man's dead, damn you, Capcom, do something with this franchise.
Well, it was dead for 8 years.
well, Capcom.
Yeah.
Oh
in
no,
general,
8 years! Oh man, such a long time. Oh man.
Capcom in general is really pushing their headliner franchises these last handful of years.
Well, because Street Fighter V didn't do as well as they'd hoped.
Yeah, it started with Resident Evil 7 and what else? What did they do around that time?
Monster Hunter World.
Yes, that Monster Hunter World. I haven't had a chance to play that yet.
It's definitely the best Monster Hunter game that's ever existed, so.
It interests me, and that's something that I can't say about many previous Monster Hunter games. But yeah. Right now, Capcom's mentality is and I'm basically quoting them here, is we'd rather have critically acclaimed games than commercial success games.
I've been hearing the term Capcom Redemption Arc lately.
Basically,
With Devil May Cry 5, with Mega Man 11, with Resident Evil 2 remake, which looks fucking awesome. A lot of people have been saying like this is Capcom's like chance to really redeem themselves and come back and be like the best publisher ever again.
Ghosts and
that
Goblins, please.
that seems to be kind of what they're going for at the moment, focusing on making really, really good games, which, you know, makes me glad now's the time they decided to do a Devil May Cry 5, because they might actually finish it, you know.
I think
that would be nice.
You know, I think part of it has to do with the fact that I think they realize that you don't necessarily have to make these big projects. Like, don't get me wrong, Mega Man 11, I'm not trying to downplay how important it is. A lot of people love Mega Man, and they're really happy to see them back, but you know, this is not an expensive game for them to make. They could make this relatively easily, and it's not...
That happens a lot in this game.
Yeah, that happens a lot in the other games, too, just reminding you.
Yeah.
It's kind of Mega Man's thing.
Some more than others, but... The
It was the first thing.
The knockback in this game is obscene.
It was the first thing that happened to me when I went to try and play Mega Man 9 for the first time. Is I jumped over a pit, a goddamn enemy jumped out of the pit, and knocked me into the pit. So...
But comparative to all the other games, I feel the knockback is pretty bad.
Hey,
you have to get an upgrade specifically to make it tolerable, which is not a point in the game's favor.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that one time Sonic had speed upgrades and started out really
Secret
slow.
Ring. Yep,
Yeah.
that was entirely my fault.
Speed gear.
I was
Speed
trying to
gear.
leave that game unnamed so the audience could comedically incorrectly guess which game I was talking about when they knew perfectly well it was Secret Ring. But you kind of spoiled their fun and mine. More importantly, mine.
The people in the comments have fun watching BrainScratch. I thought they hated us and everything we did, which is why they watch every video as soon as it gets uploaded.
If they don't do that, the man wins.
I love Anti-Eddie.
Anti-Eddie.
Dr.
Just
Wily made his own Eddie and he steals your shit.
That's actually kind of clever.
Unfortunately, if you die, he's still gone forever.
So what would be like the anti-beat?
Now
he picks you up and throws you.
No,
into
there
spikes.
wasn't there.
He picks you up and throws you into the pit.
Wasn't
fucked,
there?
Mega Man.
I think there was a robot like Vulture that Base had in one of the games.
He ran his shop because I think he also runs his shop in 10.
10, yeah.
I
That
completely forgot
bird.
about that.
Yeah, that bird is.
No,
Is it
Tango is the
Tango?
cat. Tango's the cat.
Tango's the cat. I forget his name. You're right, but he's in Base's shop. He's in this Japanese-only game called Rockman and Light game board, where it's like Monopoly with like all the human characters, and they're just trying to build robot factories and stuff. It's like Monopoly. It's weird.
Uncle Pennybags, man.
So,
Yeah.
did Dr. Wily finally create Spike's Wallman, or are my eyes deceiving me?
No.
Oh.
What?
That was a stage hazard, which something is wrong with Mega Man's hitbox in very tight corners. I've had points. I didn't show it because it never happened to me during this recording, but I've had instances where he's going through those little maze things, and I try to jump, but he moves like 2 feet off the ground and then flops right back down.
My only problem that I had concerning that in any capacity was Torchman.
It happens there too, yeah.
I think in the second chase sequence, you have to go through like block-wide gaps, and if you're just slightly off, then it's like you're hitting the ceiling, and that's kind of aggravating. But I really only find that a problem in Torchman. In fact, I don't like Torchman at all.
Nobody likes Torchman stage.
Speed gears in this game, so I don't mind Torchman at all.
Well, no, the fight is fine. The stage itself.
I'm not talking about the fight. I'm talking about the stage.
The stage still sucks.
So it's not bad. It's not a bad stage because you're bad at it. Okay, I see how it is.
I'm saying
Now-
that speed gear makes that kind of easy. Plus, if you go in with Tundra Man's weapon, you can actually freeze the firewall and stop it for a little bit.
But
Yeah,
I want to
you
use
can do
Tundra
that.
Man's weapon to fight the boss.
And I was unfortunate enough to do Torchman first.
Who is the
My first
recommended
playthrough.
master to do first in
Blast Man, actually.
Last Man? Okay.
I found Balloon Man to be pretty easy.
Bounce Man.
Yeah, Bounce
Bounce
Man.
Man's
Sorry, why do I keep
definitely the
saying-
easiest.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me the double gear is the game's excuse to have giant, not quite Mega Man bosses.
Kind of.
Selectively, because every Robot Master has a gimmick with a specific gear. Either, in Blockman's case, they use the power gear to have this giant robot.
Which is really annoying because the big fuck me button is just out of reach normally, so you have to wait for him to lower himself a little bit.
A max of 6 energy tanks is weird.
You can buy an upgrade that gives you 9.
Okay.
Now, regarding the art style here, I am liking it a fair bit more than Mighty Number 9. But you know, this is kind of the game they should have made for Mega Man 10.
I agree.
Agreed.
Saying.
And
God
when
damn.
they eventually
I'm-
do X9, which we all know they're gonna do, I hope they either go with a similar art style to this, or full HD 2D sprites, which there's
I would
probably...
prefer HD 2D sprites, but I know they're probably not going to go with that.
Yeah, knowing them, it'll probably be a 2.5D because it did. Mega Man X8 still looks pretty good today.
Yeah, no, the art style is fine. I just think the aesthetic works better in 2D than it does 3D.
Honestly, I think it looks pretty good as is, all things considered.
Well, again, I think it benefits that classic Mega Man has a cartoonish aesthetic, which I think blends really well with this sort of design choice. X is more realistic, quote unquote, more realistic, but I think Mega Man flourishes in that. Because is it strange for me to think that it's still one of the better looking games in the series is powered up?
Well, it is.
I love the look of this game. I love what they do with the cell shading. I love what they do with a lot of the enemy designs. And, like, again, the anime influence is still varied here with Mega Man 11. It doesn't look like like Mega Man X7 is one of those 3D Mega Man games that I look at and I go, ugh. Yeah. There's something about X7 that just rubs me the wrong way. But here, everything's got, like, they have so many good animations with the enemies. Like, the little pickaxe guys will just constantly, like, look over their shoulder when they're not throwing stuff at you and stuff.
You know what would make this super easy? Is if Mega Man had the ability to duck and shoot.
Or slow down time.
Dr. Light is too busy to program Mega Man with bendable knees.
He hasn't programmed the routine to lie down yet.
Draw me like one of your French robots, Dr.
He
Wily.
sleeps standing up like a cone head.
He only has one mode, and it's slide.
Two things I'll actually give this game, though. I do like how they changed Mega Man's design when he's transformed rather than just alternate colors.
That's
Yeah.
cool, yeah.
Definitely.
And as we'll see in just a second, you can just try the weapons right after you get them.
Oh, that's really cool.
I will
feature.
give credit to the game for those two things.
Try it. You can drop a block on him. Yeah.
Because I guess using special weapons after you get them in a stage is not horrible, but this ensures that you don't have to waste ammo doing that sort of thing, because God forbid you want to use a weapon but it happens to be the weakness of a particular robot master and then suddenly you're out of ammo because you got too trigger happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.